Hey guys, it's Tim Shermack, and welcome back to another episode of the Platform Marketing Show. I'm joined today by Josh Burnett from Charlotte, North Carolina. Josh, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
So, right before we hit record, I'd asked Josh, like, hey, could you just let me know your numbers again? Because I know he had sent them to me before, but we've been kind of on a Christmas break the last couple weeks from Platform. I hadn't had a chance to review it. Hopped on here, and Josh just kind of floored me with the numbers he shared. So, a year ago in the year 2023, Josh finished up at 4.6 million in volume. And he's been an agent for a long time. So it's not like that was like his very first year. Like 4.6 million in volume. Last year, he joined Platform in March, I think you said.
Yep.
And so really you only had about 9 months with Platform. And frankly, you missed part of the most valuable time of year of building the pipeline before spring because your ads didn't start running until March. And even so, in the year 2024, so your first 9 months of Platform, you grew your business from doing 4.6 million volume to nearly 14 million in volume, more than, obviously more than doubled your GCI, went from about 150 GCI to closer to 350,000 in GCI. Again, you've only been on the Platform for 9 months. So walk me through, like, before we get into, I guess, the success that you've had and the ads that have been working and what your ads budget has been, like, before we dive into all those specifics, what was your real estate career like before 2024? Like, before you'd ever heard a Platform, what were you doing? How were things going? How long had you been an agent? Kind of give us the backstory of how we got to this point, Josh.
Yeah. So in my 40s now, my first career was in public safety and EMS. So I was a paramedic for a long time here in Charlotte, did that for a bit. Left that in 2010 and really didn't know what my next step was going to be. And I'd always had an interest in real estate. I was exploring a few different options, made some passing comment to another real estate agent. Hey, I've always had an interest. I didn't know what I didn't know about it. I mean, as far as I was concerned, you probably needed a master's degree to get into it. I had no clue. We went and had coffee. He told me what to do. I was like, well, that sounds easy enough. Let's go do it. So I left that coffee meeting and signed up for real estate school in May of 2010. I got licensed August 3rd, 2010, and sold my first house. It went under contract on December 24th, 2010, Christmas Eve, and it closed Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2011. So no closings in 2010, 2011, 7 deals, $1 million in volume. So very, very low volume that first year. Really grew year after year after that. But then I went to pursue something that had always been a passion of mine. And I took a little bit of a step back from real estate and I actually went and became a police officer for a while. It was something I had been passionate about since I was a teenager, had never truly pursued it. My now wife, we were engaged at the time, discussed it, said, let's go for it. So I did and became a police officer in 2016. So I did that until 2022, got that bug out of my system and did what I wanted to do there. Continued to sell real estate. I mean, I had some good years, but juggling two full-time careers was tough. So I left that in December of 2022. So 2023, yeah, go ahead.
So actually, I have to ask, if you were a full-time police officer, you're in law enforcement, like, what are the hours like? I mean, I imagine it's not always a 9 to 5 job. Did you ever have to work overnights, or how did you juggle, like, when you would show houses and be a realtor versus when you had to be in law enforcement?
Well, I not only took the difficult step of being dual career, as we call it. When I do something, I go all in. I do it to the max. And not only did I want to be a police officer, I wanted all of these specialty certifications that I went on and achieved, which then requires you to do even more work. So not only are you gone all the time for training, I mean, I was gone an entire month one time for training, not even physically in my city that I live in. So certainly no real estate going on then. You're not showing houses and things like that. We worked 12-hour shifts. And so most days were at a minimum 13 to 16 hours by the time you factor in your drive time and, getting off late and all that stuff. But then I had three specialty roles that kept me on call 24/7. So just as an example, I had worked a 6 a.m. to 6 or 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. shift one day. With on my way home, it was 6:27 p.m. And one of my specialty certifications was having to respond to fatal and serious injury crashes. And a crash came out that I had to respond to because I was one of two people certified to do that. So I went back to work. I got back home at 10:30 that night. Unfortunately, this was a hit and run situation. I got home at 10:30. I went to bed. 2 hours later, I get a phone call that the suspect had called in and wanted to talk to officers. So 2 hours later, I get dressed and I go back to work and I interview him. I get home at 2:30 in the morning, and 4 hours later, I had to be awake to go to grand jury at the courthouse. So it was definitely a challenge. I mean, I actually sold, between 2.5 and $4 million every year that I was doing that. But I had also been in real estate for a while. So I had, a pretty good past client base and things that would keep in touch with me. But yeah, it was nonstop.
That's absolutely crazy hearing that, because it just puts into perspective when I hear someone who's, been an agent for 4 or 5 years, whatever, and they're like, I just can't figure out how to get over the hump of selling, whatever, 4 or 5 million a year. And I always thought, like, man, just, if you can't, like, without marketing, right? Like, without platform or without buying leads or without any other marketing program, even if it's not platform, right? If it's YLOPO, Curator, whatever, all the various marketing programs out there, if you can't get above 3 or 4 million yourself just with putting in the work, and it's your full-time pursuit, sometimes, like, I don't know what to tell you, because there are people who sell a lot more than that and they have a lot going on. I spoke with the Girls with Grit ladies at our platform mastermind recently, and all of them are working essentially full-time just on the Girls with Grit coaching, and they have real estate investments going on, and then, like, part-time they sell real estate and still are selling 10 to 15 million a year, essentially part-time. So it just puts in perspective. There are always people out there working crazier hours than you, that have more obligations and more things, more moving parts in their schedule, and yet they're still doing well. So the fact that you were full-time as a police officer and still selling 3 to 4 million a year is crazy. That's crazy, Josh.
And on top of that, I was a national trainer at my previous brokerage. So I was traveling and teaching as well. So
How did man, that's crazy.
and people ask me all the time, like, how do you do all that? And the reality is you just do it, and it comes down to time blocking. And you got to commit to your schedule because we all have the same amount of time. I actually was going to post something earlier this morning about people saying they don't have time to do anything. I woke up, I actually slept a little late today. I woke up at 6:45 this morning. And by 9 a.m., and I don't say this to brag, I'm just saying, like, we all have the same amount of time. Just be purposeful with it. I woke up at 6:45, and by 9 a.m., so we're talking 2 hours and 15 minutes, I had actually wasted a little bit of time on TikTok and sat there and scrolled it while I had my morning water. Had breakfast, cooked breakfast, had breakfast, walked on my treadmill for 30 minutes, listened to two audiobooks on Headway while I was on the treadmill. So knocked out two complete books on Headway while I was doing that. Showered, got dressed, banged out some emails, recorded and posted a reel all before 9 a.m. So you have the time. We all have the time, but you got to be purposeful with it.
I mean, again, like, it just puts into perspective that if you've ever felt like, oh, I'm so busy, because, often, I mean, obviously I talk to realtors constantly on the podcast, also at events, coaching. I'm flying out to Texas next week to train an entire brokerage on, social media marketing that kind of hired me for a consult day. And you hear agents say things like, I think I need to hire an assistant, or I think I need a director of ops, or I think I need a showing assistant or a TC or whatever. And then I'll ask them, like, how many homes did you sell last year? And they're like, 16. I'm just so busy. I think I need a full-time assistant. And it's like, again, I don't know what to tell you, but if you sold 16 homes last year and you feel like you need a full-time assistant, you just need to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, where are the hours going in the day? Because I completely understand if you're selling 30 or 40 plus homes a year and you're trying to leverage your time, right? It's like, okay, hire an assistant because that might allow you to sell 50 or 60 homes a year. That makes sense to me. But often it's the agents talking about scale and leverage, and they're only selling 10 homes a year and they're like, I need to hire an assistant. It's like, no, you don't. You just need to be more productive with the time that God has already given you.
Well, and I think part of it is an ego. It's sexy to have a team, so they want to say they have employees, and you need to be profitable. That's what's sexy. Being profitable and having money, right? It's not about wealth. It's not about flashing it. It's just like I want a profitable business. Um, and an unpopular opinion, I've gotten in arguments with this when I teach a class. You should be able to do roughly 40 transactions a year by yourself with no help. Now, everybody's situation is a little bit different. Maybe for you, that's 30.
I 100% agree with you. That's not saying that you need to, because maybe for lifestyle reasons, if you're a really involved parent or something, or maybe whatever, maybe you have stuff going on in your personal life where you're like, hey, I could do 40 by myself, but I'm choosing to hire an assistant, early on so that I can free up some time. That's not the conversation we're having right now. We're saying that could you handle it? A lot of agents have no idea how to do that because they're selling, like I said, 14 homes a year and they're like, I need to hire a full-time assistant. It's like, no, you don't. So that's crazy. Sorry, I kind of dragged you on this tangent of discussing
I
time
geek out
management
on
and
time blocking,
productivity,
so
but that is fascinating. Again, it's just fascinating that you were juggling a full-time career as a police officer because two, sorry, I'm just continuing down the rabbit hole here. If you told me that you were in some like passive job full time while doing real estate, then I could maybe fathom how that works. It's like if you were working as the attendant at a parking garage where you just sat in a booth all day where you could be on your
yeah,
computer, right, while you're working, that'd be one thing. But it's like obviously as a police officer, you're not negotiating deals, you're not going on listing appointments, you're not being a realtor while you're on
right.
the job as a cop because you're very occupied with what you're doing. You can't be, a quote unquote multitasking as a police officer. So that just proves that you have to be insanely focused on what you're doing when
Yeah.
you're doing it. Okay, so sorry, I had interrupted you. You were getting to the year, I think you said 2022.
So, before I say that, let me say previously. So I became a police officer in 2016. 2015, from a volume standpoint, was my highest year ever. It was $6.7 million. So I want to put that into perspective. That when Tim's saying I did, 13 million this year in 2024, that's in a down market with the least number of transactions nationally, with the highest interest rates that we've seen in decades, and people complaining about the market. So it is possible. Closings happen every day. And my highest unit year was actually 2016, which was the year I was in the police academy full time and became a police officer. Now I had leverage. I had a full-time licensed assistant. But that just again goes to show that you can still do it. I did 27 units that year. So 2022, December 2022, I left the police department. So 2023 was my first full-time year with really no distractions, right? No full-time job pulling me away. And so that was 10 units for 4.6 million in volume. And I had lived in that space for a long time. I mean, that 4 to 5 million was kind of my sweet spot. And I had a closing December of 2023. And excuse me, what are we talking about? Yep, 2023. And then January of 2024, I had two closings. And I had nothing February, March, and April of 2024. So even that,
Yeah, so you were just looking forward
yeah.
you were just looking forward at your pipeline and you're like there's nothing coming up.
There was nothing. I had zero business. I had no listings. I had no active buyers. I had zero closings February, March, and April, and still had that big of a year. But the reason that I say that, and I want to point this out, is February, March, and April, I had zero income. And March is when I hired Platform. I hired Platform so that I could have the money.
That is okay. First, I'm gonna say I did not pay him to say that. We did not game plan. We did not game plan this podcast episode ahead of time. I love that you said that because we're actually going through some evolution as a company right now, frankly, behind the scenes where we are making investments like that into our company, into providing additional services for the agents of platform that like they're not going to pay for themselves right away. But in any business, right, whether it's a real estate agent or anything, you often what separates entrepreneurs from just normal W2 employees is that you're willing to make investments for the future even when the payoff is going to be months or years into the future. So I love how you just phrased that, Josh. You had gone 90 days without making a single dollar and you hired platform marketing not because you had the money but because you needed the money and you knew platform would help you get there. So, by the way, how did you hear about platform? Because I didn't do the sales call with you. Did you talk with Diana?
I did. I talked to Diana. So I honestly, I feel like I heard about you guys several years ago, and I don't even know if I looked into it. Maybe clicked around a little bit, but I don't know that I really explored it years ago. And then last year, it just kind of happened. I mean, I don't know if I was looking for something or if I just saw you guys again or somebody. I think the biggest thing was somebody had mentioned it in a Facebook group. And I was like, all right, let me check into that because I need to do something this year. Right. And I started looking into it. And I could not, one of the first things I always do when I'm investigating any company, right, that I want to partner with and spend money with is I Google that company's name and then I put the word scam after it because I want to see like all the negative stuff people are talking about it, right? So, and don't shoot me for saying this, but like I Google platform marketing scam, right? Because I want to see all the negative stuff agents are saying about these companies that they've spent thousands of dollars with. And Tim, I this is no exaggeration, no BS, total truth. I scoured the internet and I could not find one negative word about platform anywhere.
Yeah, I that's something I'm
Nowhere. I couldn't find one person that said it was bad. It didn't work. It was a waste of money. Um, they overpromise and under. I couldn't find anything like that. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I need to look into this. So then I went back into some Facebook groups and did the little search feature and typed platform marketing. And again, it was unanimously positive. I'm like, all right, I got to check into this. So I sent a message in. Diana got back to me. I think it was actually started with a Facebook message. I sent her a Facebook message, and I'm in Charlotte. We're not Boston and LA and New York, but we're a big city. And dude, it was available. And Diana can tell you, I mean, I probably bugged the mess out of her. We had like 473 calls before I committed, but it was a big commitment. And so I wanted to make, and I've been doing this business long enough to know that throwing money at something doesn't guarantee results. I've done that before. So I wanted to make sure I did my due diligence before I started spending money, but I want to be clear when I say it was a big commitment. It was a big financial commitment. One of the other things that sold me was that you guys don't have a contract. It's month to month. Well, then when I started researching it and talking to agents that are with you guys, and they've been with you for 5, 7, 10 years, you don't spend that kind of money every month for 10 years when you're not locked into a contract if you're not happy. You would not spend that money. So it was just over and over positive reinforcement that, this is something I need to give a shot. And at the end of the day, I would have spent money on something else. So why not this? And man, I did it in March of 2024 and I have not looked back.
you know, it's crazy that you say like, "Hey, I searched platform marketing scam and I was trying to find, you know, negative reviews because every company has those, right? I would be lying to you right now if I said, "Hey, no one has ever worked a platform and quit because they weren't happy," right? Of course, over the years, we've had clients quit, right? Who weren't happy. But what we try to do, what I've always told my team is like some people quit for reasons that are genuinely outside of our control and their control. Maybe, just as an example, maybe they're going through a divorce because that's the reason often people buy or sell houses, right? Is a divorce. And because of the way that their finances are structured, there's just no way they can afford to keep working with platform because they're going through this divorce, or at least they need to, whatever, take a break for 6 months while they kind of regather their life, whatever, right? Um, maybe uh maybe something happened where they're moving. That's happened too, where we lose clients because they are moving and they're moving to a new city where we already have a platform client and like that market is taken, right? So there's all sorts of reasons someone might leave platform, but our philosophy has always been like, what can we do even when we find out a client is quitting that we end on good terms, and just go above and beyond to try to always stay on your good side, because we have lots of clients come back. That's the thing I'm maybe most proud of, even above and beyond just our sales of how many new agents are signing up a platform every month or whatever. It's how often it happens where someone quits platform, and then usually it takes, I've found, like 2 years, but like 2 years or so we'll get a call like, hey, Tim, you might remember me. I was a client a couple years ago. And it's like, of course I remember you, dude. Like, you were with us for years, whatever. Right. And they just got the itch and they wanted to try other things. And about 2 years later, they find themselves calling us back because they'll tell us, like, I was never really dissatisfied. I kind of just wanted to try something new. I was never, and you guys were really good, and I left on good terms. And even in the meantime, I referred people to you, but then they come back. And that's what tells me, like, okay, cool. We handled that relationship the right way. If clients who quit, whether it was 2 years ago or 5 years ago, are coming back. So thank you for saying that. Again, we didn't rehearse any of this ahead of time. So like, that's really cool to hear you say that.
So, funny story about agents coming back. So, shortly after I did this, or shortly after I joined with you guys, the business is starting to pick up. People are seeing that my listing videos are getting tens of thousands of views. I'm talking like 30, 40,000 views. And I'm having coffee with an agent friend in my market. And she's like, "What are you doing?" And I told her, and she was like, "Oh, I was with them for a little bit, but she never did the work. She never did the ads. Like she didn't actually go out and do the content." So for her, it was like it didn't really. She's like, "Yeah, I got leads, but like I didn't really." Right, but like this isn't about getting leads. It's about building a brand and the recognition.
I was I was just about to say that, and I'm obviously not going to name names, but you're in a market where we've had clients over the years who would, whatever, try it for 6 months, try it for 8 months, and then they would quit and they'd be like, "Oh, I tried platform, it didn't work." And we've kind of joked behind the scenes, like, man, it's just a matter of time before we get an agent in this area of Charlotte, because I know Charlotte's right on the border of North Carolina and South Carolina. So you probably work like the Fort Mill area too in South Carolina. And we're like, it's a good market, right? Like, we should have a really successful client here, but we just, for whatever reason, have never had a client like really take it seriously and do the content and follow the platform system. And we knew that when we get that client, turns out, spoiler alert, it's Josh Burnett, right? When we get that client, we know they're going to be successful because we knew, like, there's nothing bad with this market. There's nothing weird going on here. Like, we just need the right person to take it seriously. And so seeing someone like you blow up your business kind of gives us a sense of, like, I told you so, to all the realtors before who use platform in that area. And they kind of half-assed it, right? They didn't really do what we asked them. And then they quit 6 months later thinking it didn't work. It's like, no, you didn't work, right? The system works if you work it. So congratulations, man. It's super cool seeing you grow your business. So what were the first things you did? You signed up in, March 2024. You had nothing in the pipeline. Like, you were starting from true zero. What did you do? What did you do to grow your business so much in 2024, even though you had 3 months of that year that you didn't make a single dollar, like, no closings, right? Because again, you finished 2024 with nearly 14 million in volume, even though the previous year was less than 5 million. So what did you do to take your pipeline from zero to the point that, I mean, you almost tripled your business?
180% growth, just to put a specific number on it. Yeah,
Yeah, right. So you're actually closer to having tripled your business than you are having doubled it. It would be more accurate
yeah,
to say you tripled than doubled, right? So let
right.
me ask you a very specific question. In March, when you signed up for platform, knowing what your pipeline looked like at the time, would it ever have occurred to you that you would finish the year with 14 million involved? Like, what was your real goal? Like, you're like, okay, if I can
$8 million was my goal.
eight, okay, right, and that's a
I've never sold $8 million. I sold 6.7 million, my highest year ever. So eight would have been like, that's awesome.
you would have been thrilled to finish last year with 8 million in volume, and you ended up at
Yeah. I have it right here, Tim. My goal was 17 units, $8 million. And the way I got to 17 units was I looked at my average sales price from the year before, and that's what it would have taken to get to 8 million. Yeah. And did 26 units and 13 million.
so you would have been thrilled at 8 million. You actually ended up almost at 14 million. What month or how long did it take to where you kind of woke up one day, looked at yourself in the mirror, and you're like, holy shit, this is working. Like, I think I might actually blow past this 8 million goal. Like, did it take 90 days? Did it take 6 months? Like, how long did it take for you to really truly feel this platform thing that I signed up for, like this is working.
It started to pick up in May. So I would say I started to see some traction around that 60-day mark. Now, I want to be clear, and Tim's very transparent about this. It's not that it was a magic pill and 59 days I went to sleep and had nothing, and 60 days I woke up and I had 13 million in sales. But 60 days roughly, I started to see this is gaining traction. I'm getting some momentum. I'm getting attention, which is what we all want. We got to have the attention so that we can get the business. And then in June, it just exploded and it was nonstop since then. I mean, it was crazy.
So really you feel like for you like it might be accurate to say like you really felt it was working for sure within about 90 days.
Yeah.
That's amazing because I want to be transparent here. That's a lot sooner than most people say. Most people, when I ask them on this podcast, how long did it take for you to really feel like platform is working? Most people will say 6 months or 6 months to 9 months. You really felt it within 90 days. So let's talk about what were you actually doing? Like, were you following up with your leads every day? How much content were you doing? What were you doing to make sure that you were the one putting in the work?
Yeah. So, platform creates some ads to generate some leads, but really the biggest thing is pushing out content and building a brand and getting people to know you and all of those things. I'm horrible at calling leads. In fact, right before Christmas, I told my account manager to pause the lead ads because I have like 800 and I haven't even followed. I've touched some of them, but like it's not even my focus, right? It's more the branding and all of that. The leads is just a bonus. So don't join platform for the leads. You're going to get them. That's cool, but it's what it's building for you. So and what I was going to say is in May, so I joined in March, and in May, I got a phone call. I'm not talking a internet lead or an email, a phone call. And it was someone that saw one of the first listing videos that I did with Platform that had 28,000 views. They saw that listing video and called me about that specific property. Now, that property was under contract. These folks weren't quite ready to make a move. That was last May. They're going to do something this spring. I've already been at their house. I'm their agent. They're going to sell, they're going to buy. It'll be over $1 million in volume between that. So that's what I mean when I say within 60, 90 days, I was seeing it work because I got a direct phone call just off of a listing tour. So I was just doing what my account manager was telling me to do. Small business spotlights, listing tours, and then the photo ads that they sent over. Hey, I need a picture of you doing this. Cool, here you go. And I do my best to batch content when I can.
So it all happened pretty quick. Again, I want to emphasize that most people don't say that. When I ask them on the platform marketing show, how long did it take for you to really get results? Most people give me an answer somewhere between 6 and 9 months. Sometimes they even say a whole year, right? But you really felt it working like in the first 90 days. Did you have a huge past client database or a huge sphere that you were working, or were there any past marketing programs that you had done before platform? Like, had you ever been a client of Curator or Ylopo or Boomtown or any of these companies?
No, so I use Brivity as my CRM. I did a short stint with a PPC through them, but really, no, that was it. I wouldn't say I have a huge database, but again, just like the leads, I'm gonna be honest, guys, I don't really work it. Definitely not the way that I should. Or what I should say is I didn't work it the way that I should. Starting last year, I got a lot more intentional about that. And this year as well, staying intentional with that. So, calling those past clients, keeping in touch with them. In fact, the closing that I had today was the third transaction for a client that I called in 2023 to just check in that I had not spoken to in probably 8 years and had done four transactions without me since our first deal. But because I made that call between May of last year and today, we did three deals together for several million in volume. So, it was all of those things, just shoot my ads, get the content out. And I think we talk, and you're probably going to bring this up, but we talk a lot at platform about fuzzy ROI. And so this couple that called me off the listing tour that's going to come up in a couple months, that's a direct. I can say that 1,000% came from platform because that listing video would not have had 28,000 views on it had I done it myself. So that's a direct from platform. But what's the fuzzy ROI is all of these people in my database are seeing my content so much more now. I mean, they tell me all the time, man, I see you on Facebook all the time. In my geographic farm area, they're like, I see you everywhere. Oh my, you're on my Instagram, you're on my Facebook. And that's the point. And I'm sharing valuable, relevant content, right? It's not, we're not sharing stupid stuff here. So it's things that it's not the same things that every other agent is sharing. It's things that provide valuable content, and they're just seeing you over and over again, and they're getting into your retargeting audience.
Let me ask two different questions because I think based on these questions, I might get different answers. First, what is your most effective ad that you've done with platform or your most engaging ad? In terms of like, hey, can you point to one ad that went out from platform, whether it was a listing video, whether it was a retargeting ad, whether it was a photo or a video, that was just the most engaging, got the most, likes, comments, shares, where you're like, hey, this one really blew up on social media. So that's my first question. My second question is, what was your personal favorite? Even if that one wasn't the most popular one, what was your personal favorite?
So to answer the first question, the most popular, which this is one reason I love platform. Full transparency in November, I slacked off and didn't do what I was supposed to do with my ads with my account manager. I didn't get the content in. I was busy. I made excuses and I didn't do it. Well, you guys, unbeknownst to me, just put stuff out there. So on my Facebook page, you guys did a text post. That's all it was. There was no image, there was no video, there was no long story. And it said, do you actually know anyone that has lived in their house for 30 years? That freaking blew up like 140 comments, a ton of shares. That was months ago, and I'm still getting comments on it today. So that was definitely the most viral by any stretch.
Yep, that's one of my all-time favorite retargeting ads, and it actually was a personal post I made on my personal profile a long time ago, like 5 years ago, something like that. And it got so much engagement that I sent it to our ads team, and I was like, "Hey, put this in the arsenal for like great retargeting ads. Just ask this question as a Facebook post, right? Like, do you actually know anyone who's lived in their house for 30 years? Because obviously mortgages are 30 years, but often people move usually the average is every 7 to 10 years. And tons of people will comment because of the way that's worded. People feel like, oh, I know someone like my aunt or my grandma or my mom or whatever have lived in their house for 31 years. And so they feel like they want to tell the world that they actually know someone who did that. So uh that gets a ton of engagement. Also, who is the account manager, Josh, that you work with at Platform? Okay. Shout
Yep.
out to Abby then.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Because that means Abby is following our systems for account management, because we know some clients get busy and sometimes they have a month where they
Yeah.
totally slack off and they don't send us content. And we
Yeah.
kind of have some of these ads in reserve where we're like, hey, if you ever have a month where your client, maybe you took a family vacation, obviously I know one thing that was going on last November was the Platform mastermind, and you were
Yeah.
there because
I
I
was.
remember
Yep.
I remember talking to you on the stage afterwards. And
Which I
so
will be
you
on
were
next year.
probably that's right. So you were probably gone for whatever, a week at
Yep.
that, and you busy, Thanksgiving, whatever. November was a bad month for you in terms of how much content that you created,
Right.
right? So our account managers are trained to like, hey, if your client kind of has a slow month, here's a bunch of ads you can launch for them that actually don't require the client sending you any sort of media file, whether it's a
Yep.
photo video. You can launch it on your own accord just to make sure there's new stuff going out
Yep.
on their page. So that's really cool to hear that
Yeah.
works so well for
And
you.
and before I answer your second question, I'll just say, because some people may be thinking, well, why in the world would I care about putting a post out? Do you know anybody that's lived in your home for 30 years? How does that get me clients? Well, here's what it does. First of all, I'm not trying to sell anybody anything in that post. It's just creating conversation, which we should be having daily anyways. But here's the trick. This is what platform does so well is everybody that has commented on that, liked it, shared it, stared at it for more than 3 or 4 seconds, they are now in my retargeting audience, which means that they continue to see my ads for a long period of time. I mean, I think I've heard you say you run those for like a year. So they're going to keep seeing me. So my retargeting audience, I haven't even been with platform for a full year yet, and my retargeting audience is over 28,000 people.
That's incredible, man.
So imagine 28,000 people seeing you on a weekly basis.
And from a kind of strategic perspective, when we put out content like that, I think it's important to point out that we want to put out content that attracts homeowners, because we don't necessarily want to get a ton of leads that are like, oh, I'm looking for rent to own, or, I'm a first time home buyer and my credit score is 200. What can you help me with? Do you have any down payment assistance programs? Blah, 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 blah. If you make a post, something as simple as, do you know anyone who's actually lived in their home for 30 years? Just the way that friendship works and the way that demographics work, this is kind of common sense, right? If someone's commenting about their cousin or their dad or their mom or their grandparents or whatever that owns a house, chances are that person probably owns a house too. Because usually homeowners are socially connected to other homeowners, and people who rent for life are socially connected to other people who rent. So we're very intentionally trying to fill your retargeting list with the actual type of demographic that you'd want to work with, which is like existing homeowners, because those are the type of people who are typically commenting on a post like that. So, I mean, it seems kind of simple on the surface, but actually a lot of thought goes into, before we write an ad, we want to make sure that the right type of people are going to be clicking and commenting on that, because not all clicks are created equal.
Right. And I went in and replied to all of those people or liked their comment. And if they're like, we've been in our house 42 years, I'll just reply, man, that's awesome to hear. That's great. I'm not like, oh, you've been there 42 years. It's time to sell. Just engage with people. Yeah. Right. So your second question was, what's my favorite to shoot? Well, I always have to say the small business spotlights, because usually that involves food. So, you can't ever go wrong when you get to eat and claim it as work. But I think my favorite one was the ducks in a row.
For those who are uninitiated and have never heard of this video, explain in your own words, like, what is the platform ducks in a row video?
The platform Ducks in a Row video is a video that will get you a little bit out of your comfort zone if you're like me. I don't really like, I'm a silly, goofy guy, but not when it comes to business. And so I don't let consumers see that side of me. And this video, you actually have these rubber ducks, and everybody put all of their own spin on it, which was really cool. Um, and the point of the video is to talk about how you may have all of these preconceived notions that you need to have this or that done before you buy or sell a home, or you need to have all your ducks in a row before you contact a real estate agent. And that's just not true, right? So contact me, let me help you get your ducks in a row. So it was fun. It was something enjoyable to shoot. And my wife actually did the camera work for it. So it was just kind of cool for both of us to do that together. It certainly resulted in some hilarious bloopers that the ad team was really good about putting in the video, and the editing was great. So yeah, that was probably my favorite.
How much are you spending, Josh, in a given month on the actual like ads budget? Do you know?
Yep. I think we're right about $1,200 right now.
Okay, so it would be fair to say that even though, like, at this point, you've only worked with platform marketing for about 9 months, that investing $1,200 a month into the actual ads budget, that $1,200 a month is what has fueled your business growing from, uh, you know, 5 million to almost 14
Yeah.
million.
And to put that into perspective, that's $14,400 for a year. This one client, now I understand they're still several months out. This one client that's going to buy or sell that called me off of one listing video, the GCI will be more than that 14.4.
Just on one deal.
So there's a
Yeah.
return just on that one
Yeah.
client, even if nobody else ever worked with me because of platform. Yeah, the ROI is there.
Why are listing videos such an important part, um, of your marketing mix? Because I know that you've done a lot of listing videos, you've prioritized that. What would you say to someone maybe who's already working with platform, but they're just not filming a lot of listing videos? Maybe they're kind of getting lazy and they're falling back on just the really easy photo ads to do. They're not going out and filming listings. Maybe they say, I don't have any listings and I don't know where I could film listing videos. How important have the listing videos been in your platform journey?
Very important. And I actually am going to increase the frequency of which I'm doing them. And even if you don't have listings, you can use other agents' listings. Just get their permission. You can get their permission. Don't text me or email me or Tim and say, oh, well, I can't because this agent said you can have results or excuses. You can't have both. Just go get it done. There's agents out there that will let you do it, whether they're with your brokerage or another brokerage. It doesn't matter. Give them credit. They'll all let you do it. Especially if they have a listing that's been sitting for a little bit, right? Hey, I could shoot a listing video for you, and it could get 30,000 views. Is that something you and your seller are interested in? Yeah. How much are you going to charge me? I'm not going to charge you anything. I'll actually give you props in the video. How about that? I've done that for agents outside of my brokerage, so why not? And then I actually had a comment on one of my listing videos that it was a really good insight and something that I was already doing every time, but now am very, very purposeful about doing. So I lead my business. My three pillars are honesty, integrity, and transparency. I think there's a lot of BS in real estate. I think consumers get misled a lot. I just want to give you the truth, and whatever you want to do with that information, do what you want to do with it. I had a comment on one of my listing videos. Thank you so much for giving us the price and the address in the video. There's no like click here, go to this website, fill this form out, scan this QR code. So that alone, when that lady's ready to buy or sell a home, do you think she's going to call anybody but me? No, she's in my retargeting audience. She sees me over and over again, and she has literally said, "Thank you so much for giving us this information and just putting it out there." So it's huge. That's a big part of doing this.
If like hypothetically, and I know this is kind of a difficult question to answer because it's, it's a hypothetical, but if you had never filmed any listing videos with platform, over the last year, and you had not done any, but you were just doing kind of the easy to do photo retargeting ads, what do you think your results would have been this last year if you'd never done any listing videos?
Yeah, I mean, definitely hard to put a number on it, right? I don't want to over dramatize it and be like, oh, it would have been cut in half. But I can specifically tell you listings that I have taken. I got the listing because in my listing presentation, I showed how I got 30 to 40,000 views on a listing video. So if you're not doing listing videos, you can't show that. And I don't put down other agents. I don't have a side by side comparison. Hey, mine got 30,000 and Tim's got 300. I don't have to do that. When they see that somebody got 30 or 40,000 views and maybe that other agent they interviewed didn't even talk about video, who's going to win that appointment? So some of those deals in 2024 were a direct result of that.
Yeah, I find it fascinating that, there's all sorts of like listing presentation kits that you can buy out there, and every brokerage claims to have kind of a listing presentation in a box like, hey, join our brokerage because we have a, whatever great template listing presentation. But all of them are more or less the same unless you can actually provide the seller with something unique and proprietary that you do that other agents don't. And that's what I love about the listing video strategy with platform is the way we edit them, the way we set those ads up. You're going to get whatever 20, 30, 40,000, sometimes even more video views on a listing. And if you walk into a listing appointment and you point at a video and you're like, hey, look at this video, it got 34,000 views on, Facebook, whatever, like that's actual quantitative numbers. Like that's not your opinion that your marketing is good. You're showing them actual data of why your marketing is better than other agents. And as a homeowner, it's kind of like, okay, he just gave me something here that is not his opinion. It's like an actual objective fact that his marketing is superior to the other agents maybe that we're interviewing.
Yep. And yeah, I mean, I listed a property 2 weeks ago, and this morning I checked it because I send out a weekly update to my sellers. It has over 28,000 views. And you got to say that's less than 2 weeks. The property went on 2 weeks ago, but the ads team a couple days to get it together and all of that. So less than 2 weeks, over 28,000 views. Guys, no other agent is going to be able to show them that. They don't, I mean, you know what? This agent at that firm might have a prettier flyer than I do, but guess what? Nobody wants a flyer. So they're not sitting on their phone looking for a flyer to download. They're sitting on their phone looking for a video to watch.
Let me kind of change topics here a little bit, Josh, and ask you about kind of the structure of the relationship of working a platform. What's it like working with Abby, your account manager? Because that's something that actually kind of surprises a lot of agents when they sign up is like, hey, we're going to give you a dedicated account manager and they're going to be kind of your point of contact. They'll manage all of your marketing. We don't really talk about that, frankly, in our marketing or even on our website because we don't want people to mistakenly think that we're a coaching program, right? Because we are a marketing agency that just kind of throws in that coaching element by having a dedicated account manager. So often it's a surprise when someone signs up. They're like, wait, what? I have an account manager? Like, what does that even mean? So, uh, what does that mean to you?
The first thing I would say that I love is I've had Abby since I joined in March. Now, it took a week or two for you guys to assign me to somebody, but once I was assigned to her, that's who I've had, which is really nice, especially in this industry when you get bounced around a lot. to put that into perspective, I do have a homes.com membership. I have it for different reasons. I don't get leads from it. I've been only been with them since August, and I already have a new rep. And I honestly will probably cancel it because I don't have that rep anymore because I had a great rep. I got a new rep 2 weeks ago, and they haven't even reached out. So I say that to say the relationship with your account manager is critical. Now, Abby, I don't know what other platform clients do. My calls with Abby are super short. I mean, they're less than 10 minutes because I'm not a fluff, let's talk about this and that and, BS for 30 minutes on the phone. We get on the phone and I'm like, hey, I uploaded all this stuff. It's sitting there. It's ready to go. Go ahead in your wrap up email, shoot me an email of what you got. She asked like, hey, what's going on? What listings do you have coming up? What closings do you have? All of that stuff. And we're definitely friendly with each other, but it's really to the point. And she gets me my wrap up email right after. And what she has started doing with me because I try to batch shoot content when I can. She'll go ahead and give me the whole month's worth of content in the email. So I have my call this Wednesday. So she'll go ahead and give me everything for January. And if I can knock it out this week, cool. I'm done. I don't have to shoot you more content. Take like 2 hours and get it done. And then one thing that we recently implemented, which is really cool, which this is where I applaud her. So you should give her a raise. Um, and maybe this is just a platform way, but we've come to expect so little of people in this world and in this industry that the fact that not only did she agree to do this, but she followed through to do it was really key for me. Life gets busy, right? And we could have our call Wednesday morning and say, all right, hey, you need to go get this small business spotlight done. Well, we now have a little agreement where she shoots me a reminder text if I haven't done that within a few days. Like, dude, go shoot your content, right? Um, so it's just been really critical for me. I mean, we don't spend a lot of time talking about whys or whatever. It's just tell me what I need to do and let me go do it because I trust that you guys know what you're doing because you clearly do. So I I just look at the list and I go knock it out.
You've given her explicit permission, like, hey, if I screw up or if I don't do my work, hold me accountable. Most other marketing companies, when I say most, I probably mean all other marketing companies, right? They don't have anything remotely resembling what we call an account manager at platforms. It's kind of like a built-in marketing coach, right? They're actually managing all the Facebook ads, but they're also telling you the ads we want you to do. They're giving you feedback of, hey, let's say you film a video and the footage is just terrible, and you filmed it in such a way where it's like that account manager is the person telling you, hey, here's how we need you to film it, right? So it's kind of like having a marketing consultant on retainer to tell you exactly what you need to do. And I want to be really clear that the platform account managers are not like minimum wage employees with like a headset in a call center in India or something, right? They're all Americans here in the United States, and they're marketing professionals, and they know what they're talking about with social media marketing and advertising. You get to meet them in person every year at the mastermind. You can go talk with them and hang out, right? You can meet our team. I think it's just a really, really important part of working with platform is that relationship with the actual account manager, because you're not going to get that working with any other company. So, Josh, when you look at all of the ads that you've run, you mentioned, some of them that were really, really engaging before. How often, or has it happened that someone has recognized you in person? Like, hey, I think I've seen you on Facebook, or I saw such and such ad, or
Happened one time at the gym. And it was funny because I texted my wife, and the gym that I go to actually backs up to a geographic farm that I've been working for like 10 years, and we're really targeting with platform as well. So for me to be recognized there, like that's phenomenal.
that people are seeing you. Has have any associates or vendors, whether they're, I don't know, maybe a loan officer or a title person, insurance, have they ever said, "Oh, I've seen you on Facebook, or I've seen your ads"?
Definitely people that I work with. I mean, they've been seeing a lot of my content. I don't know about any vendors that maybe I don't already have a relationship with, but everybody, it's like my photographer, for example, he's just like, oh my gosh, man, like, um, I'm seeing your stuff everywhere. It's great. It's this and that. And in fact, last week or 2 weeks ago, when I did the listing video for the property I listed a couple weeks ago, I always do a little light editing because I'll usually do some kind of an intro and I'll just throw some stuff together. And then I shoot it to you guys and you finish it up. Well, he texted me and he goes, oh man, I was really looking forward to seeing your intro on that video. Well, I had done one. and it had already gotten posted. So I went and looked, and my intro wasn't on there because I uploaded the wrong video to my account manager. So I immediately went into the Google Drive, I deleted it, uploaded the right one, and I said, "Hey, Abby, that one doesn't have a intro. I had an intro that I wanted on it." And she's like, "No problem." They immediately took it down, they redid it, they posted it, and it was good to go. And so like my intro in that one was this was just a little townhome, really nothing unique about the community or the property. So I was coming down the stairs inside, and very carefully I manufactured a fall on the stairs and said something like, "You'll fall in love with this house just like I did." And just something to kind of get them past that 3 to 5 second watch mark.
Exactly. The whole point in a listing video is you just have to do something creative in the first 3 seconds to stop the scroll and get someone to watch the video if they're just on their phone, right? And they're scrolling through their Facebook or Instagram. Like, you need to do something to grab their attention to kind of earn the right for them to watch maybe another 10 seconds of the video. So great. Great. Yeah. How many like new ads are you typically launching in a month? Is it 2 a week or 3 a week or 1 a week, or what does it look like in a given month?
We got out, it's usually a few a week. I was actually trying to look to see what our last one was, but we got a ton out. I don't have it here exactly. I thought I would be able to pull Abby's email up real quick. Um, we're getting, I would say, anywhere from like 8 to 12 or 13 ads out a month.
So that's a lot. That's, two to, two per week or more, right? Of new ads that are constantly going out that are being seen by your retargeting list. Josh, as we wrap this up,
And just to be clear, I mean, that's photo ads you guys are telling us to do. That's listing tours. That's small business spotlights. It's all of those things, right?
yeah, that's everything. Yep, that's everything. What would you say to someone as we wrap this up who's either thinking about signing up for a platform, or maybe they signed up for platform 6 months ago, 7 months ago, but they haven't yet seen the results? Like, what would you tell them to kind of give them perspective, give them encouragement?
So the only people that I don't think platform is for is people that aren't willing to do the work because you guys make this so stinking simple that if you just do the ads that they tell you to do, whether it's just snap a quick photo or, I mean, my last small business spotlight was like 40 seconds. Like these aren't long things, right? You're not out for hours filming. So if you're willing to just do a little bit of work, take some pictures, shoot a quick video, you need to be doing listening tours for your sellers anyways. So why not put some marketing dollars behind them and get tens of thousands of views? You need to be with platform marketing. I cannot imagine not staying with this company. Two words I don't like to use are always and never, but I can't see leaving. There's no reason to leave. The leads are just a bonus. Like I said, we paused my lead ad. It's the exposure, it's the building a brand, it's giving my sellers what they deserve and marketing their property. So if you're an agent that's with platform and all you're doing is the static photo ads, your account manager's not giving you enough of those every month to keep you relevant and in front of people. They're just not. So you need to be shooting content. The small businesses love small business spotlights. The listing tours are not as hard to get as you think that they are. That's a excuse you're telling yourself to not do it. If one agent doesn't want you to do it, it doesn't mean that there's not 100 that will let you do it. Um, and if you're not with platform, and you want to be, you should be. And if you're in Charlotte, I'm sorry, I'm never giving it up. Um, because that's one of the great things. They only work with one agent per market, right? So mine just happened to be open, but you need to explore it. And Diana was phenomenal. We probably had, I don't know, anywhere from 3 to 6 phone calls before I joined, just answering questions. I never felt sold to. You guys just you operate like I do. I'm just going to give you the information so you can make the best decision, and we'll support whatever that decision is. Because honestly, you probably have a wait list of people wanting that area anyways. So do yourself a favor, at least explore it. Reach out to the team, reach out to Diana, go online, fill out a form, um, however you guys want to be contacted now. But you have to take a chance on yourself. And in a time when the market is tough and sales are down, it seems counterintuitive, but that is the time to double down and invest in yourself and your marketing. When everybody else is pulling back and not spending money, that's the time for you to go in. That's the time for you to lean in and spend the money and take market share.
Like we always say, platform works if you do.
And guys, I did not like, I'll just throw this in really quick at the end. It's not like I was sitting on $50,000 in the bank to do this when I started. It's not like I sold, 15 million the year before and I had a couple hundred grand in the bank for a marketing budget. I was in month 2 of zero closings, followed by a third month of zero closings. You got to take that chance on yourself and you have to run this like a business, and it is a business. So if a flower shop opens up and they don't put a sign out and they don't tell the world that they're there and they're not on Facebook, they're never going to sell any flowers. You can't be a secret agent, and platform makes sure that everybody knows who you are.
Josh, thank you so much for your time. This has been a really, really fun episode, and I am just so happy for you. I'm so excited for you that your business has grown as much as it has in your first 9 months of platform. I mean, just can't wait to see what happens in your next 9 months with platform. Guys, we'll see you on the next episode of the Platform Marketing Show. Josh, again, thank you for your time.
Thank you.